Okay, I have 7 o'clock. Call this meeting of the Sheffield Board of Selectmen to order for July 15th, 2024. Thank CTSB for being here to record us tonight. Anyone else that's interested in recording, please let the chair know. Approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve 2 sets for May 16th, 1 set for May 30th, 1 set for June 3rd, 2 sets for June 13th, 1 set for June 22nd, 2 sets for June 24th, 1 for July 1st, and 1 for July 8th.
I'll second that. Are there any that you have to recuse yourself
The
from?
1st and the 8th, because I was not here.
The 1st and the 8th, okay. So let's approve May 16th through June 24th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
July 1st and July 8th? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Very good. Jill, thanks. That's a lot of minutes. Our second item on the agenda is public hearing with National Grid for a utility pole installation. And I see our favorite National Grid guy is here. Of course, I can't remember his name.
Steve.
Steve, come to the podium. Tell us what you need from us tonight.
All right. So I am Steve Hayward. I am with National Grid. I have some visuals. I'm not sure if you folks have some visuals. Okay,
I think we do.
And if anyone from the audience wants. Yeah. All right. So there's the potential of a new residence going up on Guyberson Road in Sheffield. We do not have any poles along that section of Guyberson Road there. So we are looking to install poles from Berkshire School Road south down to Guyberson Road. We're looking to install 17 poles.
That's a lot of work.
Correct, yeah. So from Berkshire School Road down south, we're going to be hopefully installing 17 new poles to provide service for this customer.
Can I ask why it wasn't proposed to come in off of Salisbury up?
So we looked from Salisbury Road north. That distance is a little bit more than from Berkshire School south. So it works out for the customer's interest because the customer has to pay money for this stuff. To, you know, less material, less money.
Yep.
And after the 17th pole, there'll be a very short section of underground coming from that last pole to a heavy-duty handheld, which is like a box in the ground. And then from there is when we'll continue service along the private property there. So yes, we're asking for the 17 new poles and a little bit of underground there along Guyberson Road.
Any questions?
No, already asked, the only one
Any
ahead.
questions, Pat?
We need to get up in front of this. Pat Levine, 261 East Main Street. Why isn't all of it being done underground?
It's a great question. It is not all being done underground because it's one of the priorities of ours to do any work to the least cost to the customer. And that would be an incredible burden for the customer if we were to do underground from Berkshire School Road down to Guyberson Road. And I know for myself and for the customer themselves, they did look at that as an option, but it was just cost prohibitive to do so.
There's a lot of wetlands down alongside that road in that area.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Sorry?
On that note, Sari Hoy, 60 Main. Does National Grid need to have any interaction with Concom when they're working in areas like that, or are they kind of exempt?
Steve?
Yes, yep.
Steve?
Yes, we do. That is a separate hearing that we do with the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
For anything environmental related, there will be tree work involved, and obviously, like Robert said, we'll be working very close to the wetlands. So those are things that it's a different hearing that we go through with the Concom.
Okay, thank you.
Usually first we get hopefully the approval
Yeah.
for the thing, and then kind of.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And I'm somewhat of a newbie to this, so I might have a couple of questions in that. If this line was taken down by a tree or something, it really wouldn't impact further up?
Correct. So right at that intersection of Berkshire School and Guyverson, we fuse that in such a way so that if something were to come, just like you said, if a tree were to come down on that line on Guyverson, it would disconnect from our system at that intersection of Berkshire School.
Okay. So in other words, if this was ill-sited, it wouldn't impact somebody else's service technically, right? Yeah.
This is the only house that would be serviced by this line.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the 17 poles along Giverson.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We can close the public hearing. Thanks, Steve. That's the most polls you've ever asked for.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time.
Have a great evening.
You as well.
We have an update from our treasurer collector tonight. I thought it would be interesting for the public to hear about the recent auction. So this is Monique Blair.
Just a quick reminder before I talk about the auction, Q1 real estate bills are due August 1st. This is the first bill for our 2025 year. On May 15th, we had our first auction with Sullivan & Sullivan. What an adventure that was. We had 17 properties on the docket, and we sold 13, which I think is great for our first time. We collected a little over $39,000, which was able to pay off a couple of the tax title accounts. A portion of that money also paid for the auctioneers, the attorneys that we used, town council, filing with registry, handling of the deeds, and all the paperwork for the closings on that. For future, I currently have 23 properties in land of low value. This would be another set of properties that we would like to hold an auction for. I'm looking into late fall, unless I get the okay or the go from the DOR sooner, then I will. So yes, those 23 properties are also in Berkshire Lake Estates and are land of low value. And I actually think that might wrap up the remainder of the Berkshire Lake Estate properties that have been outstanding, which is great. I also have a next round of tax takings that I'm going to be doing here in the next few weeks. That would be 8 properties I'm going to put in tax title. It would be 1 year, one person is from 2019, a few from 2020, and the rest are 2021 and up. So it's 2019 through 24, 20 through, so we're getting pretty caught up, closer to the current fiscal year on that. That's kind of it. Any questions?
Any questions?
Does that mean those are going to go to sale next year?
The tax taking ones? The 8 properties that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So since those aren't land of low value, I have to start the process of the tax title taking. They get put in the Berkshire Eagle, and then they put into tax title, and then if those people would like, they can enter into an agreement with me to pay back their taxes. And at which point they can. If they decide not to, then we have to start running it through land court. Currently, I have 4 properties in land court, and I'm just going over 2 years with those, and they're still sitting. So land court is a very long process. And yeah.
Nothing moves fast in municipal government.
Not at all.
Any other questions for Monique?
All these properties, of course, go back to the tax rolls once they're sold, correct?
Yes.
Which
So
the-
13 of them have starting in fiscal '26, because a portion of their, what they paid for the properties paid for a small amount that they would have to owe for '25. So currently, they're off the books and put in as we own them, so then there's no tax generated besides the portion that they owed. So then 2026, they'll be fully back on the books at the normal tax.
Excellent.
Great. Rhonda?
I just have a couple questions. So everyone who purchased at the auction has come in and taken care of all their paperwork
Yes.
and done that? And there was no cost to the taxpayers, correct,
No.
to hold this auction?
Correct.
And some of those funds will go to help fund the next auction that you
Yes.
have?
Yes.
And then, can you just give a little description of the Berkshire Lake Estates and how that differs because of the land of low value and having to receive permission?
So the properties that are considered land of low value, their annual taxes, or their, I don't want to say that, their assessment has to be under $26,000. And each year, the DOR increases that a little bit. Like 2 years ago, it was 23,000. So they're kind of moving with the way the economy is. So any property, it doesn't have to be Berkshire Lake Estates, but any property in Sheffield that is assessed under $26,000 is considered land of low value. So instead of the properties having to go through land court in that lengthy process, I have to submit them through the state. The state takes a look at everything, the deeds, the records, the taxes, what's been paid, what's not paid. They want to make sure that the assessments are where they should be. And so they have their own legal team that processes through those. And then they come back with subtle questions, you know, are they grandfathered in? Are they, how much road frontage do they have? Are they buildable lots? And then once they give me the okay, I pass it on to Tammy, our assessor, and she goes through and answers her questions. And then we get the go-ahead, a letter from the state saying that these properties are considered land of low value. They are awarded to the town to be able to put into an auction for anyone else to bid on.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else? Thank you, Monique.
Yes, you're
Appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you.
I thought that would be interesting information for the people who heard about the auction but didn't hear the wrap-up of it.
Yes, and the only other one to come.
Great, thank you. Item number 4, we have FY 2025 appointments. We have one appointment for the Ashley Falls Historic District. We're going to hold on that. The Ashley Falls Historic District Commission is currently in a decision-making process, and I didn't really want to throw anybody new in there. So if you guys are okay with that, we'll just move on to appointing the Cemetery Commission, Catherine Miller and Paul O'Brien. So I just need a
I so move that we appoint Paul O'Brien and Catherine Miller to the
cemetery.
Cemetery Commissions.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to appoint to the Cemetery Commission Catherine Miller and Paul O'Brien. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have one appointment announcement, and it's our very own Robert Kilmer for the Agricultural Council for, there's 3 vacancies. I don't think he can fill all 3, but it's a 3-year term. If anyone else would like to join him, there's a few openings. And we will do that appointment at our next meeting. The next item on our agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the right of first refusal on 296 South Main Street. And what this is this is a property that has been in Chapter 61, and part of the there's 3 lots, and 1 lot with the building is being sold, and that's Sunset Meadow. It's being sold for $850,000. It's the building and 2 acres of land. The rest of the lot with the grapes and the vacant lot are going to remain the owner in the current ownership. So the town has the option with these to do a right of first refusal to purchase the property. Anybody interested in?
I think we have enough
You
property.
think we have?
Yeah, I don't, recall having any need for any more property at this
Okay.
time.
So I'll take a motion from someone that we refuse our right of first refusal.
I'll make a motion that we refuse our first refusal rights.
So we've got a motion and a second to turn down the right of first refusal. All those in favor?
Aye.
The second portion of this is to grant them relief from the 120-day requirement where it sits out there and waits. And since we don't have any interest in buying it,
I so grant that we remove
Second.
motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Okay. Item number 7, discussion and approval of the host community agreement for R&R Ventures. Rhonda?
So R&R Ventures were given the template with the original version of the host community agreement, and they have signed it and have requested no changes. So I'm asking for your approval tonight on that one.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the HCA with R&R Ventures. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 8 is the discussion and possible action regarding the host community agreement for 1010 Cannabis.
So as you know, we've talked in working meetings, 1010 Cannabis has requested some changes. Some we accepted, saying that they had provisional licenses only. He wanted removal of all zoning bylaws from his agreement because his business was in before zoning. And so when I explained to him that zoning does not come into play for him for the business as the model that he submitted when he started his project, but any changes would have to go before zoning. And so he's accepted that model of the agreement. So I am again asking you to approve this. We're seeing all of these because the CCC is saying that their old agreements are no longer valid because of their change in rules. And they all kind of happen to come in at the same time.
Well, I make a motion that we accept 1010 Cannabis HCA.
A second.
Motion made and seconded to sign the host community agreement for 1010 Cannabis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, item number 9 is discussion and possible action regarding Highway Department agreement. Rhonda?
So what you have in front of you is an agreement outside of our personnel policy for highway employees. You know that they voted to decertify their union, so they're no longer in a union as of June 30th. And these were some of the things that were protected for them outside of the union contract, but is not included in our personnel. There's nothing here that's new for you guys to look at. The only change that I would make on here is under uniforms, the shoe allowance should say 350, not 300. The highway employees were given a copy of this in the first week in July. We went over it. They were to get back to me with any issues or problems, and I haven't heard from any of them. So if you're good with this, I will fix that amount of money, take draft off, and everybody will sign it, and then we'll have it as an agreement for them in the personnel policy.
I'll make a motion that we approve the highway employees agreement and with the change from 300 to 350 for footwear.
I'll second, and then I have a question for discussion.
Okay.
With sick leave, it's 12 days per year, they accrue up to 80 days. Are those 80 days built up to be used, or can they also be paid out at the end of?
They're not paid out.
Okay.
They're to be
That's my
used or
primary
you
question.
lose them.
Great. Thank
Good
you.
question. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Item number 10 is update on the Highway Department project. We really don't have anything new to share with you other than we did get a bid package from EDM and we plan to accept it. We just haven't notified EDM yet, but that's where we're going. Anybody else got anything they want to share on it?
Not at this point.
What's EDM?
It's a design company. I don't know what the EDM stands for, but it's a design company.
They'll basically do the engineering for the
Yeah.
building, yeah.
All right. Item number 11, Discussion and possible action regarding the Kellogg Road Bridge. So I wanted to touch base on this. I'm sure my colleagues have received many phone calls on the Kellogg Road Bridge since the Brookside Road Bridge has been closed. I certainly have had emails, phone calls, lots of conversations about the concerns about the bridge. So I've asked our highway superintendent to reach out to the state. Someone came out to take a look at the bridge. Apparently they were only looking at the underside of the bridge. It was someone else's job to look at the top side of the bridge. So Rhonda sent an email out to the Department of Transportation for us last week. We got back an email from the Department of Transportation essentially telling us that it could be 6 months before they get a chance to have a real evaluation of the bridge. So given the level of concern and my view of the bridge, I sent an email out to Ann Goby, who is the state's rural agent lady. She came out and met with Rhonda and I a couple weeks ago. She encouraged us to call with anything. So I sent her an email. I received an email back telling her that I thought that 6 months was a ridiculously long time to wait for something that we feel is quite critical. And so she did get back to me Friday and said that she would touch base with the Department of Transportation. In the meantime, DOT told our highway superintendent that he could fill the potholes, which they did on Friday, I think. And we all but resurfaced the top of that bridge. There's very little that hasn't been touched because it looked like a war zone there. So I just want you as a community to know that we are all concerned about the bridge. We're working with the state. We can't close the bridge. The state has to close the bridge if they feel it needs to be closed. So that's our update, and I'm sticking to it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Rhonda, you got anything else to share on that? No? Okay. Item number 12 is the announcement of the appointment to the school committee. Some of you may be aware that Dennis Sears resigned in May. We've spent the last 2 months working on trying to get that position filled. And on Thursday night, Lee and Bob, along with members of the school committee, appointed Stephanie Ulrich for that appointment, and she will serve in that position until November, when the appointment will have to happen again because of the language in the regional agreement. In the meantime, there's also 2 openings to be elected this year, 2 4-year terms, and I think you have until the end of this week to get your nomination papers from the school if anybody is interested in running for those 2 seats. Gentlemen, you got anything you want to share on that?
No?
Item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding the use of the town park letter. We had a working meeting last week where we were discussing the use of town park. There's some nonprofits who use our town park for their fundraising events, such as Sheffield in Celebration with Sheffield Association. There's a concert group that uses it for concerts. And so the board decided on Thursday that the town park should not be used for ticketed fundraising events. Donation-only events are more than welcome. We just felt that in that the town park is paid for with taxpayer dollars, that the park to this point has always remained open when people are using the pavilion so that families can still use the playground, the restrooms, and we just don't want that to change the way the park is used. So we have one organization that has a fundraising event scheduled, and this letter is just to notify them that when this event is finished, we would not want any further ticketed events. They can put up a sign that says suggested donation of whatever it is to attend our event, but so I just would like a motion to send this letter out if you both are accepting.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft letter and to send it out.
And I'll second that, and I would like to just add to what you said. It's not an uncommon practice at all for people to set up this kind of policy around public spaces.
Right.
So I think that we're well in keeping with what other towns and other organizations do around such things.
Thank you, Lee. So we have a motion and a second to send the letter regarding the town park fundraising efforts. All those in favor?
Aye.
Announcement and change of mobile food vendors permit. Rhonda, will you update us on this?
Sure. So the Board of Selectmen discussed at their working meeting last week the possibility of changing mobile food vendor permits to an annual permit rather than having each individual function come before the board, make a separate payment, and get a separate approval. So they're going to do an annual license for $100. That still would include that the Board of Health has to approve them and inspect them, and then they would just have to advise our office of when and where they were having an event.
And these food trucks are food trucks that are connected to a business. So we're starting to see food trucks in more locations, right? The Pass is doing them, the distillery is having them. But this doesn't give anybody permission to pop up on your driveway and sell goods. So,
Or on the side of the road.
or on the side of the road. Yeah, it's for mobile food trucks that are providing food at specific business locations. We're already at board member items. Bob?
I'm good.
Lee?
I am as well.
Okay, great. I don't have anything either. Rhonda, you got anything under town administrator items?
I do not.
Public comment. Oh my gosh, they're racing for the microphone tonight.
Excuse me. Pat Levine, 261 East Main Street. I just wanted to go back to the item of the food trucks. I understand if they're sort of anchored at some point to a business and providing food there, but do we not take an application for someone who wants to sporadically put it in a place that is acceptable but may not be tied to a business?
No.
We do not.
No.
Currently, we haven't been, right, up to this point.
Correct.
It had to be attached to a business. And I think that's with the idea that, about competition with local business, right?
I think that an event, a large event at the park, you certainly would entertain, or something maybe on the library grounds would be considered a business.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
I just want to say I really like making the ticketed events at the park at suggested donation, and so everybody, it's just equality, everybody can attend, and I really, really think that was a great move.
Thank you. That's a compliment. Let's close on that note. If there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming.